When that enormous raise you've been waiting for finally appears in your paycheck, why does that incredible feeling of joy last only a month? Or why do those shoes that make your heart leap out of your chest the moment you see them in the store window become ordinary the instant you get home and take them out of the box? Have you ever felt like you're on a never-ending treadmill where no matter how fast you run, you always remain at the same point of unhappiness? I'm Bennett. I spent 22 years of my career at one of the world's largest audit firms, examining the ledgers of those ultra-wealthy families and family offices that you call untouchable. In other words, I was right inside the vault. I personally saw, through the numbers themselves, how accounts worth tens of millions of dollars sometimes turned into prisons. But today, I'm not only going to tell you about other people's ledgers, I'm also going to tell you about my own shame. I have to confess, while sitting among those ledgers, I made the same mistake myself. There was a time when I too sat surrounded by unnecessary possessions that I had bought simply to look like the millionaires I was auditing, while living with a level of stress that was draining my soul. That was the day I realized that money is, to a great extent, an emotion. It is security, freedom, or sometimes merely the compensation for a deprivation carried over from childhood. Today, I will not tell you about the mathematics of money, but about the you hidden behind those numbers. Come, meet our friend William. William is a warrior who tries to manage his money with discipline and willpower. Yet every month he is defeated by his own biology. William's story is, in fact, all of our story. On the day William is about to buy a new smartphone, he can hardly contain himself. He spends hours comparing models on the internet, imagining the moment he will open that box. During this process, dopamine storms are raging inside William's brain. Look, as an auditor speaking to you from inside the vault, let me tell you this. Most people think dopamine is a pleasure hormone, but they are mistaken. Neuroscience tells us that dopamine is actually a signal of wanting, and that it is not particularly concerned with the enjoyment, liking we experience after obtaining the thing itself. The moment William gets his phone, his excitement reaches its peak, and his brain tells him, "You did it!" But once he gets home with the phone, just a few days later, that incredible excitement gives way to habit. At the audit desks, we call this hedonic adaptation. Our brains are programmed to rapidly normalize everything that is new in order to survive. As long as William mistakes money for a goal, the finish line keeps moving farther away the faster he runs. Because William is not actually buying objects with money, he is trying to temporarily numb that feeling of lack inside his brain. Even though William tries to suppress this desire by using his willpower, the primitive reward center in his brain overrides rational decision-making. There is a second monster disturbing William's peace: social comparison. When William sees a photo of an old school friend on Instagram taken aboard a luxury yacht, his own modest vacation suddenly feels inadequate in his eyes. According to Leon Festinger's social comparison theory, we humans constantly compare ourselves to others in order to evaluate our own situation. In the past, we competed only with our neighborhood. Today, with the phone in our pocket, we compete with the best moments of the entire world. Michael sees other people's storefronts, but he doesn't see the debts, the sleepless nights, and the years sacrificed behind those storefronts. This is the point where William stops seeing money as a tool and turns it into a symbol of status. He begins buying things he doesn't actually need in order to prove himself to people he doesn't even want to impress. This is a psychological defense mechanism, If I have more, I will be more valuable. Yet, with my 22 years of experience, I can tell you this. Wealth is money that has not yet been spent. Money that will give you choices in the future. Riches, on the other hand, are what are visible from the outside and have usually already been spent. The harder William tries to look rich, the more he is actually spending his freedom. Now, let's take a look at Jennifer. Is Jennifer more disciplined than William? No. Jennifer simply knows that her brain is subject to present bias. Our brains cannot truly imagine the comfort of 30 years from now, but they do want to eat the delicious cake sitting right in front of them and collect that instant dopamine. Instead of relying on her own willpower, Jennifer built a choice architecture. Just like in Richard Thaler's nudge theory, she made her decisions automatic. The moment her salary is deposited, 15% of her money is automatically transferred to her investment account before she even sees it. We call this the default option effect. The human brain is lazy and likes to stick with the automatic plan. Don't trust your willpower. Willpower gets tired, gets hungry, and resigns after work in the evening. This is the greatest secret of the ultra-wealthy families I audited. They are wealthy not because they are disciplined, but because they built a system that does not require discipline. The secret of success is not willpower, it is the system. Let me show you the visceral, the inner mathematics that you will actually feel inside. William tries to save $700 every month if there's any money left. But because of hedonic adaptation, he manages to set aside only an average of $250 per month. Jennifer, on the other hand, automatically sets aside $700 without ever seeing it. So what happens after 30 years? Jennifer's systematic saving grows to approximately $1.5 million, while William, simply because he started just 5 years later and lacked a system, ends up with only $900,000. The cost of postponing for just 5 years? $600,000. Now don't look at that $600,000 as just a number. That money is the key to a peaceful home you could have in your old age, or thousands of hours of free time you could spend with the people you love. Every unnecessary purchase you make today is actually time stolen from that old and tired stranger in the future. That is, your future self. Every decision carries an opportunity cost. If you don't nudge yourself today with small decisions, tomorrow the system will be forced to nudge you much more harshly. Now, pause the video for a moment and close your eyes. Imagine yourself 30 or 40 years from now. The lines on your face, your graying hair. Research shows that when people are shown aged images of themselves, their savings rates increase by 30%. Because that unnecessary money you spend today is actually a day stolen from that elderly stranger's freedom. Another trap William falls into is the sunk cost fallacy. William forces himself to go to a gym he hates simply because he has already paid for the annual membership and doesn't want his money to go to waste. But that money is already gone. The rational choice is to make the decision that will benefit you the most from that moment forward. Don't make the same mistake with your investments. Holding on to a losing stock simply because you don't want to sell at a loss means missing new opportunities. Understanding the psychology of money means freeing yourself from these mental shackles. Here are 3 simple yet unshakable pieces of advice I bring to you from inside the vault. 1. Build the system. Retire your willpower. Automate your savings. If you never see the money, you won't miss it. 2. The 90-second and 1-day rule. When that burning urge strikes, wait 90 seconds and allow the emotional wave to subside. Leave major purchases in your cart for 24 hours. 3. Separate wealth from riches. Remember, the most valuable thing money can buy is not a luxury car, but control over your time. Instead of ending up breathless on the treadmill of more like William, build your own freedom through smart systems like Jennifer. Because in my 22-year auditing career, the greatest form of wealth I have ever seen is a peaceful night's sleep, and no bank offers it in installments. Thank you for watching. Stay with a free future.